Let's take a look at Cypher basic query filtering. Before we begin, let's make sure you understand the graph data model we use for our queries. The graph represents movie data. We have person nodes that could also have labels of actor and/or director. These nodes have the acted in and/or directed relationships to movie nodes. Some of these relationships might also have a role property. Movies have an in-genre relationship to genre nodes. Users are not actors or directors, but they rate movies. They have a rated relationship to movie nodes, where the rated relationship has properties of rating and timestamp. This graph is created with unique IDs for person, movie, user, and genre nodes. The person node's unique ID is TMDBID. The movie node's unique ID is movie ID. The genre node's unique ID is name, and the user unique ID is user ID. Most properties in this graph are types of string or numeric, but some property types are dates and lists of strings. In the Cypher Fundamentals course, you learn some basic querying where you use the where clause to filter queries where you test equality. Let's execute this simple query. In this query, we find all person nodes with the name Tom Hanks. We then traverse the acted-in relationship to all movie nodes and filter for movies with a year property equal to 2013, and we return the movie titles. We are specifying the pattern to traverse through the graph and then filtering on what data is retrieved within the pattern. We then return the title property for the 3 movie titles that satisfy the query. Note that your queries will execute faster in the graph that has indexes on property values. You typically create indexes for property values that cover your application's most important queries. You can also test inequality on a property using the less than greater than predicate. Here is another query. This query returns the names of all actors that acted in the movie Captain Phillips, where Tom Hanks is excluded. It returns the names of the 3 actors that satisfy the filtering criteria. You can test both numbers and strings for values less than or greater than a value. Adding the equal sign will include the specified number within the predicate. Let's execute this code. It returns true or false values based upon the test. To test for property values within a range, you can use a combination of less than and greater than. Here we test a range of values. This query returns the 4 movies that Tom Hanks acted in between 2005 and 2010 inclusive. We can also use OR to expand the filtering to return more data. This query returns rows containing the name and title. Each row represents an actor who acted in Captain Phillips or has the name of Tom Hanks. In this result, you will see multiple rows for Tom Hanks and each movie he acted in. You will also see multiple rows for each of the actors who acted in the movie Captain Phillips. Later, you will learn how to group data that is returned so that there are not multiple rows for Tom Hanks or multiple rows for the movie Captain Phillips. A property for a node or relationship is null if it does not exist. You can test the existence of a property for a node using the isNotNull predicate. This query returns the names, born, and died properties for all people who have a value for their died property and who were born after 1985. In this graph, it returns 6 rows. And we can test if a property exists using the isNull predicate. This query returns all people born before 1923 who did not have a died property value. It returns 21 rows for our dataset. Depending on your data model, it may be useful to test that a node has a label. This is particularly useful when a node may have multiple labels. You can test for a label's existence on a node using the alias:label syntax. This query will return all person nodes with the label actor and director that were born after 1960. It returns 163 rows. Here is a variation of the previous query. Rather than using the actor or director labels, it uses the relationship types acted in and directed to imply that the node at the other end of the relationship has the correct label. This query retrieves all people born after 1960, assigned to the alias P, who has also acted in a movie and directed the same movie. This query is more specific in that the same person both directed and acted in the movie. In the previous query, we were only looking at labels and not relationships to movies. This query returns 134 rows, but notice that some people directed and acted multiple movies, for example, Jodie Foster. You can test if a value is in a list property. This query returns the titles, languages, and countries of all movies that have Israel in their list of countries. This completes our look at Cypher basic query filtering.